Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Ango, and in this video, we're going to take a look at a very interesting feud that I guarantee nobody actually knew was ongoing. Now, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Matt Riddle said some things very publicly about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and we did just get a response from Kevin Owens. Now, of course, in a situation like this, everybody's going to have their own sides that they choose to pick and you know, where their allegiance lies or whatever, but I thought this was really crazy because Matt Riddle has always been in the headlines. Matt Riddle has always been known to be problematic, and he's not going to shy away from that. Even when he did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, he talked about potentially, stop smoking the tree when he was with the UFC, but he chose not to. He spoke about his WWE release and why he wasn't shocked, and he wasn't dumb. He was very aware of the headlines that were put out there about him with the P stars that he was messing with and getting pregnant, and he's been very open about this. And that's why this gets really interesting, because Matt Riddle is a very talented individual, but I think it is safe to say that Matt Riddle is literally his own, he is the problem himself, and he obviously won't deny that. But recently, he was asked about who his toughest opponent was during his time in WWE. And he was very quick to answer this, and he said that it was Sheamus. He said that Sheamus was very strong. He even went as far as complimenting Sheamus and how easy to work with he was. However, the interview really took a major shift, because he then called out Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and he actually said that they were very difficult to work with. He says, when I think about who's harder to maybe work with, I would have to say Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. It's hard to put a complete sentence together with those guys, but if you know what I'm saying, very difficult. He then also says that Sheamus will hit you hard, but it's very easy to put together. Now, this was really interesting because you never hear of stories like this. You never hear of Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn being difficult to work with. You never hear of them having a bad reputation as far as being a worker in the wrestling business. A lot of people actually seem to praise them for the way that they come up with matches and ideas and things like that. But of course, Kevin Owens actually responded. And Kevin Owens did an interview with Robbie from Barstool Sports on My Mom's Basement. And Kevin Owens responded to the claim that he and Sami Zayn are hard to work with. And it was really interesting. He says, no, it didn't take me by surprise, but I did see it. It's funny, because coming from him, I have nothing against him at all. But to me, he's a guy who had really amazing opportunities handed to him, like being Randy's tag team partner for so long and basically getting to ride the coattails of a legend. And he managed to screw it all up, not because of his abilities, because he's very talented and he's very athletic, but because of his own attitude and poor choices. Wow. He also mentioned that if Riddle felt like he couldn't get a word in during the conversations they had, there was probably a reason for that. He said when you look at Riddle's track record compared to his and Sami's, the difference is pretty clear. Owens admitted it might have been true that Riddle couldn't speak up much, but that's because he and Sami work a certain way that's been successful for them. So then he goes on to say, so for him to say that we're hard to work with or whatever it is, and that he couldn't get a word in, there was a pretty good reason for that. You look at his track record, you look at our track record, I think that speaks for itself. This is a really crazy beef, right? Matt Riddle is somebody who is definitely talented, and I definitely agree. And I think a lot of people obviously can see that Matt Riddle is talented. I think the shots that Kevin Owens also took at Matt Riddle were very, 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 very clear and very blunt and very real. And I do think when you look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the success that they've had in the WWE, I think a lot of that is because, yes, they are veterans, and Matt Riddle clearly has become a veteran over time, but I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have learned the wrestling industry and understood the wrestling industry so well that their reputation really does matter. And I think that's why you don't actually hear negative stories about those two guys. In fact, I think with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they're so well respected that most people who are getting into the business or people who are getting an opportunity would probably sit there and actually listen to what they have to say. And Matt Riddle, based on what he said in previous interviews and things of that nature, Matt Riddle kind of likes to do things to his own accord, which that just means there's clearly a personality difference between everybody involved, and that's why things just simply didn't work out. But I thought Kevin Owens taking that shot at Matt Riddle, basically riding the coattails of a legend. Yeah, I think that's very clear. I mean, even though I like Matt Riddle and I think he's a good talent, I think his personal those headlines and those personal stories about him were definitely not helpful at all, especially in a situation where WWE had very well positioned him greatly. There's no such thing as saying WWE fumbled Matt Riddle. It was very clear WWE was high on Matt Riddle, no pun intended. And I think it was very clear that WWE was willing to do what they can with Matt Riddle. There's actually been rumors, by the way, that WWE at one point wanted to put the World Championship around Matt Riddle, and they decided not to go forward with those plans because of the fact that Matt Riddle was a problem backstage. Now, is that true? Is that not? I don't know. That's just internet wrestling gossip. And obviously that's why it's, that's just kind of how it is within the IWC. But I think Matt Riddle is always talented. I don't like the fact that he kind of like took these shots at Kevin Owens. And I really don't like the fact that Kevin Owens responded back to this. Because I just feel like it's so weird, It's kind of unnecessary. Matt Riddle's doing his own thing in MLW. Kevin Owens is doing his thing in WWE. And now Kevin Owens obviously has this massive surgery coming up. I would prefer that this wasn't necessarily a topic. But it does go to show you that not everybody is, like this backstage. And it is very much a real workplace. And no matter how good WWE morale is or whatever, like, people are still going to have issues with each other. And I think for Matt Riddle too, Matt Riddle kind of suffers from this mistake that he kind of planted himself, which is being outspoken, being a little bit more careless. And he's admitted to that even while being with the UFC, which was long before WWE. And you have to wonder, is Matt Riddle willing to make the change that would be necessary for WWE to bring him back? I don't know. I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if that return would happen, but interviews like this and comments being posted like this are definitely the things that are going to hold you back. And it's going to prevent people from wanting to work with you in a sense. So that is something to definitely pay attention to. But of course, that's the wrestling business, man. That's just the way it is. And it's so unfortunate. And like I said, I know people are going to pick sides. I'm sure people are going to leave comments. Oh, Kevin Owens got him, this and that, or Matt Riddle got him. But I think the reality is this, especially with social media too. I think with social media, everybody wants to pick sides. And that's just not really worth it. This isn't that big of a deal. It's a fascinating story. I definitely didn't expect to see these interviews and to hear these clips, but that is what we got. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. As far as that goes, though, Matt Riddle doing his thing in MLW, Kevin Owens, both guys are successful in their own ways, just very different. And I think sometimes different, the different personalities might clash. So very interesting stuff there. Let me know what you guys think down below.